Okay, folks, it's that time of the year. The unofficial holiday is upon us. That's right, Super Bowl Sunday is coming up. And this year, it'll be Super Bowl 57, Heinz 57. And it'll be against a Pennsylvania team that's from the wrong area if you call for Heinz. Of course, it's Philadelphia. And of course, you got Kansas City is the other team. The two best teams right now in the NFL. And I mean, it is going to be a heavyweight matchup to say the least. It's almost like a modern day version of Muhammad Ali and Smokin' Joe Frazier. But of course, which team is which? And I predict that it'll be a battle royal there on Super Bowl Sunday. And I think right now, if you ask me who's going to win, Philadelphia might just have a little bit more talent. And of course, if they lose, what is Merrill Reese going to say? He is the one of the all-time great play-by-play guys. But I mean, especially is he going to go, I don't believe it! I don't believe it! If Philadelphia loses. But I digress. It's going to be a battle of two great young quarterbacks with Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. And also one great defense going against a great offense. And Graham, the defensive end there for Philadelphia, who is just like John Randall, known for running his mouth when he gets there in his stance, gets ready to come after the quarterback. Philadelphia's defense is all world. Well, of course, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He is again showing why he's one of the best young quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts can definitely hurt with his legs too. And as I said, this is going to be a battle. Of course, people always wonder who's singing the national anthem. It's Chris Stapleton, one of the top country singers now. And Rihanna is the one who's going to be performing at halftime. Of course, what kind of slinky outfit is Rihanna going to be wearing? That's what everybody wonders about that nice Bahamian singer. Of course, you know, we've gotten international artists before. Remember what U2 did at the Super Bowl the year after 9/11? That was something to behold. Of course, you kind of like to see an American artist, but I digress, and I'm not being, too nationalistic or jingoistic. But it's going to be another entertaining Super Bowl, and it'll be a heavyweight fight. We'll see who wins between Philadelphia and Kansas City. And now I go from the Super Bowl to talking about the Orange in more ways than one. Yeah, they finally got back on the winning track against Boston College. And also, kudos to the men's lacrosse team trying to bounce back from what was a miserable first year under Gary Gait, adopting to his new system. They go out and they beat Vermont 7-5. And I also want to make a shout out to his brother Paul, who because of an unfortunate accident while doing maintenance, is paralyzed from the waist down. Our prayers are with you, Paul. And I mean, everybody in Orange Nation is praying for you, hoping that you can maybe recover. Although they say this may be permanent, which is very unfortunate for one of the greatest lacrosse players of all time. Both him and his brother revolutionized lacrosse. Let's hope for a more successful season. But getting back to the Orange, it wasn't just the victory over Boston College, but comments Boeheim made about the state of college basketball, about his future, and about other teams. There are a lot of people who are now up in arms over what Boeheim has said about the new NIL rules when it comes to recruits. Yeah, we've gotten some momentum getting Elijah Moore, a top prospect for 2024. And there's several other top prospects who are lining up to maybe declare to go to the Orange. But of course, the transfer portal and also the NIL rules that now exist may have kind of muddied up the picture. I mean, sorry for me searching for words. But you know what? Boeheim definitely has a point. I mean, he said Pittsburgh bought a team. Wake Forest bought a team. And I mean, Miami even may have bought a team. But of course, now he's come under fire for those comments. And some people are saying, hey, you ran your mouth too much. You ought to resign. Plus, the fact he also has hinted that he's coming back next year. And one person is saying, hey, Boeheim's holding the university hostage when it comes to a successor. My thought is he ought to retire when he wants to retire. But on that same token, how much is enough? Yes, he'll be 79, and it'll be his 48th year leading the Orange. Maybe he's waiting to coach 50 years and then call it a day. At that time, he'll be in his early 80s. But you gotta wonder, how long are we gonna accept mediocrity? Because, I think the program has kind of taken a little bit of a dive because of his ho-humming about his future. Yeah, I think we got a good core of young players. They're starting to gel a little bit. And of course, he said that he's going to dip into the transfer portal once the season ends. And of course, we got to wonder, are any of our players entering the portal and whatnot? But the whole thing about, hey, you ought to resign for making comments like that. In some ways, just leave him alone. But on the other hand, Boeheim kind of should watch what he says. Because, any others, and guess what? Maybe Wildhack and the others are going to say, finally, Jimmy, it's time for you to go. We'll see what happens. It's now running to the stretch run of the season, and let's see what Syracuse can do going down the stretch. You ask me, I think they're headed for the NIT, unless they can pull off a big win against Duke or Clemson. Of course, this year it's Duke minus Mike Krzyzewski. Boeheim did have a point saying that these new rules may have driven Krzyzewski to retire, among other great coaches like Jay Wright of Villanova, who called it a day. But I digress. It's now become real interesting, and Boeheim's got some points. But on the other hand, he's got to tone it down just a little bit. We'll see what happens. Now I'm going to talk about what's going to be a busy week for high school sports. Yeah, the Waterloo girls have 4 games this week. And we're getting into the final couple of weeks leading up to the sectionals and leading up to hopefully another run to a Section 5 title for the Waterloo girls, and hopefully another run towards the state title, which hopefully they can win this year. Yeah, they had a minor setback a couple weeks ago, losing their first Finger Lakes League game in 3 years against Palmyra Macedon. But they rebounded in a huge way last night with a big win over Newark. And they've got 3 other chances to really improve. Yeah, they play my alma mater, Mynderse. Then they play Wayne. Then they play Batavia Notre Dame to finish out the week. But I gotta wonder about a couple of fashion choices I've seen from a couple of the parents. Yes, Morgan Caraballo is one of the great leaders of the Waterloo team. A wonderful young lady, a wonderful basketball player, and she's got two wonderful parents. Her father, who's an assistant coach on the Waterloo girls team, plus her mother, one of the great parents. And she definitely brings mother chic back, fashion-wise. Nobody can rock leggings with old school kids. Yeah, the 50s and the 80s. Mrs. Caraballo is bringing it back. And what about Keisha Bree? In practice, she used to wear those unique Adidas, That's why I nicknamed her Run DMC. Yeah, I almost thought she was going to break out dancing to Walk This Way and have Steven Tyler to sing, Walk This Way, Talk This Way, or Mary, Mary, why you bugging? Of course, when game time comes, she dresses in her nice dress clothes. But what about those boots? They're some of those chunkiest boots that I ever seen. If I want to see something chunky, I want to see peanut butter or Campbell's soup. But whatever, big run to finish the season for Waterloo girls. The Mynderse girls, I'm also hoping that they finish strong because they can make some noise in their division there in Class B. But if they reach and win the title game for Class B2, guess who's lurking? Waterloo. We'll see. The Waterloo boys, hopefully they have a great finish to their season. And the Mynderse guys, it's been a rough year. Maybe they can finish strong. Maybe they can make a little noise. But I don't know. I think they're built for the future. We'll see how Mynderse and Waterloo finish their seasons going into the sectionals. And last but not least, anybody watch the Grammys? Yeah, but Beyonce now is the all-time winningest Grammy winner. And I mean, to pass ones like Sir Georg Solti and Quincy Jones, two big giants in music, with the amount of wins she's done, that is an accomplishment. And I mean, I haven't really been a big fan of listening to her music. Of course, I don't listen to a lot of the music nowadays. But, that is an accomplishment. But what I want to talk about is Madonna's appearance. Yeah, didn't it give anybody the willies? But she had to come on to talk about the way ageism now is in entertainment. I mean, throughout the 40 years she's been around, she's never been afraid to push boundaries. I have been a first-hand watcher of what she's done all those 40 years. But I gotta give her credit. You don't get to where she is without drive. And she definitely has had the drive. And I mean, I know, seeing what a chameleon she's been with her fashion senses over the years. I mean, she's never afraid to push boundaries, never afraid to shock. But I'm kind of wondering about how the shock and awe she might be throwing now with the way ageism now is. She's got a point. But Madonna, your appearance there for 64 years old, yeah, I agree, you look great. But the way you looked in the face, aren't you like, that's the way I look at it. And that's what I have to say for this week. Next week, I'm going to talk about the Super Bowl. And are you ready for some more football?